Welcome, wanderers, to Wishcrafting, your fire-lit stop for folklore, mystery, and magic. I'm your host, Wishamaya, and today we head into the dusty folklore of the American West to meet a creature that is equal parts prank, legend, and peculiar poetry. Today's topic is the jackalope, a creature born of campfire tales, taxidermy trickery, and deep-rooted mythical echoes from much older traditions. The jackalope, half jackrabbit, half antelope, or deer or goat depending on who you ask, is a creature of contradictions. Comical, eerie, and somehow strangely alluring. But is the jackalope just a barroom hoax? Or is it a modern mask for an ancient archetype? The trickster, the liminal beast, the spirit of the in-between? Well, today we'll find out. We are going to trace the jackalope's origins, explore real-world inspirations, and consider its place in American folk magic and folklore. Let's dive in. Our story today begins in Douglas, Wyoming in the 1930s. Two brothers, Douglas and Ralph Herrick, were amateur taxidermists, and in a playful moment of inspiration, they combined a jackrabbit's body with deer antlers, and thus the jackalope was born. But the story doesn't stop there. The brothers mounted this creation, sold it to a local inn, and very soon after, tourists began asking questions. What is it? Where can we find one? And is it dangerous? The jackalope took off like wildfire. Soon, the town of Douglas declared itself the home of the jackalope, even going so far to issue hunting licenses valid only on June 31st between midnight and 2 a.m., as well as postcards and memorabilia that quickly spread the tale of the jackalope across the country. The jackalope became a roadside icon, a staple of curio shops, dive bars, and old diners. But here's where things get interesting. This wasn't the first time that people had spoken of horned hares. This jackalope phenomenon was an old idea in new clothing. Long before the Herrick brothers had their fun, folklore across Europe had already spoken of horned rabbits. In 16th century Germany, illustrations of Lepus cornutus, or the horned hare, appeared in scientific texts. Some naturalists even documented alleged sightings, treating it like it was a rare species. In Persian art and medieval bestiaries, similar creatures appear. Horned rabbits, long-eared beasts with magical powers that were often symbolic of a paradox or divine mutation. What modern science eventually discovered was that some real rabbits suffer from Shope papillomavirus, which causes horn-like growths around the head and sometimes the neck. These grotesque tumors may have inspired actual sightings of deformed hares, and from there, these stories could have bloomed. But in mythology and folklore, physical deformity often signals liminality, a crossing or ability to cross realms. The jackalope, like the sphinx or the chimera, blends forms and suggests being from beyond the veil. Like all good folklore creatures, the jackalope has a personality, and it's a mischievous one. According to regional lore that began around the campfires of the Wild West, jackalopes can mimic human voices, especially cowboys singing at night. Folktales speak of trickster jackalopes luring Western seekers away from their campfires with perfectly sung tunes from their homelands or a happy memory. Once lured away, you can make a deal with the supernatural creature, potentially being put under its thrall, or potentially be swept into whatever the Midwestern equivalent is to under the hill. Jackalopes were also said to be fiercely territorial, capable of goring unsuspecting intruders with their horns. And fascinatingly, they were said to only breed during lightning storms, which lends to their alleged incredible speed. The folklore says that jackalopes are almost impossible to catch, unless you lure them in with alcohol, of which they prefer, some might say even love, whiskey. Does any of this sound familiar, listener? Because these are trickster traits. In the jackalope and its folklore, we have a little dash of coyote, a little dash of Loki, a little dash of Puck. They echo to the wild, rule-bending spirit of the frontier, unpredictable, untamable, and definitely ungoverned. In this sense, the jackalope becomes more than a joke crafted by two taxidermist brothers. It became a folk guardian of mischief, a patron of pranksters and myth-makers. Well, despite its origins in humor and hoax, the jackalope can be seen as a few things. Firstly, a totem of contradiction. Masculine antlers on a traditionally feminine creature, prey that becomes predator, an energy that can be worked with in multiple magical situations where one wishes to claim power back, to turn the tables in their favor, or even in gender-affirming practices that are magical in feeling but scientific in practice. Any trans folk out there that are looking for a guide or guardian along their journey might find some comfort and power in looking to the jackalope. Secondly, the jackalope is also a spirit of liminal places. The jackalope resides between field and forest, between real and unreal, between fact and folklore. This liminality can be applied to nearly every magical or animistic practice, ritual, or path. And if you live in the United States, it is a distinctly U.S. figure. And for so many of us being on this land due to colonization, looking to these more modern folkloric figures can be really empowering and connecting to this place that we exist on post-colonization and colonialism. Alternatively, if you are into any kind of journeying, trance work, path working, divination, or spirit communication of any kind, calling upon the jackalope as a guardian or spirit guide could be really, really wonderful to deepen the practice, to feel like you have a friend, or to establish a protective relationship. Because the jackalope lives in the liminal, if you were to do a road opener spell or look for ways to bring more opportunity or abundance or fertility or creativity into your life via a magical practice, you could ask the jackalope to work on your behalf in the liminal space while you do the work here on this plane of reality. I never want to put anyone in a box, including the jackalope. And the jackalope and its energy is so much more than I'm going to be able to tell you or share on a podcast. There's so much more to be experienced, not just these 3 symbols that I feel are potent jackalope energy. But the third energy that I want to touch on with the jackalope is how they are a reminder of magical improvisation, how belief and storytelling can actually create spiritual entities. And this is a little bit of chaos magic, and it builds on my Familiars and Spirit Companion episode. So if you haven't listened to that, maybe go back and take a listen and you'll understand what I mean. But belief truly shapes how we walk through the world, both in a mundane way and a magical way. And if you're looking to bring more magic into your life, if you are a storyteller, if you are an entertainer or a performer, the jackalope could be an excellent ally in all of your endeavors, or to invoke and call upon before you put on your show or tell your poetry to an audience or show your art, anything like that. Art and creation, storytelling, it's all pulling from a liminal place and bringing it into this reality, reaching through time, space to bring folks into whatever you're bringing them into, be it a moment, a feeling, or an experience. So working with the jackalope in that way could also provide very powerful stability to whatever your craft is. Apart from that, however, the jackalope is a completely made up creation. The 2 brothers created the jackalope, and it became this great, sensational thing that it is now. And it is deeply ingrained into American folklore, but it is fairly new. The 30s were not that long ago. So the jackalope can lend a hand to us remembering something doesn't have to be ancient in order for it to be powerful. And you can create your own traditions. You can forge your own path, your own magical path, and it will be just as potent as if you were following the Greek magical papyri or any other traditions with seemingly more merit due to time practiced. The jackalope reminds us that it is okay and valid to forge your own path. The relative newness of the jackalope's creation and infusion into American folklore is also a part of chaos magic, which I touched on in the Familiars episode as well. But essentially, to go over it a little bit, the idea is that you can create a thought form, spirit or entity or familiar, simply by using the power of the mind and a little bit of magic to bring forth a creation that is from your mind, but no less powerful than, say, you or I might be, especially in the liminal, spirit, or astral realms. The jackalope is a newer entity with whispers that call back to a vein of truth that runs far out past America's boundaries and into other parts of the world. But jackalope energy specifically, under the name jackalope, could be invoked for things like shape-shifting and illusion, breaking social rules and magical shoulds, creative spell work and spontaneous rituals, and also one of my favorite and possibly the most potent energy that jackalope can assist with is calling in the wild spirit of America with all its contradictions, all its history, all its depth, bloodshed, and beauty intact. We are all here because other folks made choices we didn't have any say in. Most of us have come here across the murky waterways of colonization. And when you're trying to tap into your roots and your core, it can be a little difficult to want to explore those murky waters because they are full of some dark things. However, we are here and we can choose to do the best we can to be a steward of this land, to be a steward of the principles of what it means to be American. Cue the bald eagles, cue the American flag, blah, 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 blah. That's not what I actually mean. Freedom is not real until we are all free. But what we can really tap into with the spirit of America is the spirit of depth, the spirit of wildness, because this country is so wild, the spirit of richness, of abundance, of fertility. The United States has so much diversity in its bioregions, in the very land we walk on. This country is huge, it's vast, it's old. We have some of the oldest mountains in the world in the United States, some of the tallest mountains in the world in the United States. Just looking at that alone, tapping into the raw beauty of the wild spaces that we have here in this land, can make you proud to be here, to protect this place, and to really start to feel in to the connection of this wonderful, wild country, and to tune back into how we rewild ourselves, our souls, and our connections. When I talk about the wild spirit of America and connecting to the wild spirit of America, I don't mean what it means to be American, because you decide what it means to be American, because we are all an amalgamation stewing in this cauldron. We are all bits of the soup. So you get to decide what piece of the soup you are when it comes to being American. But when we tap into the wild spirit of America, of Turtle Island, of the actual land, and we feel what that means and how that resonates in our body, that is what the Jackalope can really help us call in. A reconnection to the roots we have right now, today, in our present moment as Americans on this soil right now. Working with ancestors, working with the gods of your ancestors can be wonderful and powerful, but I want to gently remind everyone that you have land spirits and you have roots right outside your front door that are also just as powerful. And the waters that got you there might be murky, but it is our job to take up the mantle and start to clear them out again in a way that is honorable, in a way that has integrity, and in a way that honors the magic of this place we live. Some modern witches have even begun creating jackalope servitors or spirit allies, inviting them in as familiars for trickster magic, liminal travel, or protection through misdirection. I kind of touched on this when I talked about Pando, the giant clonal quaking aspen tree, but protection through misdirection is, in my opinion, an incredibly powerful protection tool and method. Essentially, what it is you are setting up some kind of magical shield, ward, barrier, or trap to confuse and redirect people away from your space, your home, or your person, with the intention of them not being able to find you, not being able to reach your energy, not being able to see your house. So protection through misdirection is essentially like modern day invisibility spells. You protect and ward yourself so deeply that it's almost like you're in the middle of a labyrinth and the protections are the walls all around you, and you are the only one who knows the way through that labyrinth. And you can offer invitations to the people you want to come to you through the labyrinth, but those you don't want will be easily redirected away from whatever your safe space is, or that could even be your body, right? So this is a magical barrier that we put up, a magical defense mechanism that we put up for our own protection. And the jackalope, when invoked for this purpose, could be a really excellent ally to help you direct people away from whatever your safe space is, to guide them through the labyrinth, but in the direction that is away from you, so to speak, right? Because in the folklore, the jackalope would often pull folks away from campfires using various methods of trickery. So you could potentially work with the jackalope to do that for you for this kind of purpose. Because now, as an American folkloric egregore, the jackalope now exists because we believe in it. And belief, as most witches know, holds power. It's what we've touched on a little bit with this whole episode. The jackalope came from a hoax. It gained popularity, it gained belief, and it gained power. And now we are set up as witches, but especially for American witches, to tap into this very uniquely American folkloric figure for all of these varying magical reasons, practices, and protections, right? So that's a lot. I've given you a lot for this episode, but what I really and truly think is that the jackalope is a spell that is cast by this country onto itself. It was born during the Great Depression, in a time of hardship and uncertainty, when people still believed in tall tales and they needed a little wonder in their life to keep going. So to me, it embodies the human impulse to mythologize, to take the ordinary and twist it into the extraordinary. The jackalope is part coyote, as in trickster coyote. It's part roadside Americana, and it's part unknowable fae. It's a creature you can laugh at, but never quite laugh off. Like all great tricksters, it reminds us not to take things too seriously, not to forget that every story, even a funny one, carries a seed of sacred truth. So next time that you're driving through the desert, the Midwest, the Badlands, next time you're out there and the dusk light bends just right and you think you see something leaping at the edge of your vision, something with horns and a grin, don't be too quick to dismiss it. The jackalope may still be out there, bounding between myth and matter, chuckling at our certainty. That's all I have for you today, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a fellow weaver of tales. If you have a jackalope story or an experience that you would like to share with me, or if you would just like to talk to me and give me feedback for the show, anything like that, if you want to chat with me, everything you need to do so will be in the show notes in the description of this week's episode. I love to hear from you. I always want to know what you have to say. And if you want to support my work, or you want the extra materials that go along with each and every episode, consider joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. $1 single a month to join my Patreon and get all the little extra goodies that go along with the episodes, as well as seasonal rituals, grimoire pages, and journal prompts, and lots of other goodies that could aid you on your magical journey. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you got something out of it. My name is Wishamaya. Until next time, don't forget to keep your roots deep and your dreams wild.